Hey guys, how's it going? I just wanted to take the time to present a game that I just recently played in a tournament. Uh, I was playing as white in this game. I lost this game, but it does have some instructional value to it. So I wanted to bring this to you to my subscribers and just see what you all think about it. And without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and kick off with D4. Opponent played knight F6, C4 G6. All this stuff is kind of typical, so I'm gonna kind of get on with it through the opening phase here. Except I may stop at one point just to talk about this move right here. This was the first time I played this G2 system here. So if you're a D4 player, ready opening, that sort of thing, or something similar, this move order may be of interest to you. But anyway, moving on, he played Bishop B6, which I thought was odd at the times, and I came up with knight F3. When he played C5, I had a great opportunity here to play knight to G5, but instead I played castles, and which still was okay. I mean, it was fine. And but anyway, again, I'm gonna just kind of fly through the moves a little bit more here. Okay, knight C6. Okay, I trade. He takes. Okay, then I take his pawn. Castles. Now, for the moment, I am up a pawn. My opponent was higher rated than me. And again, I studied the endgame a lot, so I kind of want to get to the endgame as fast as I can, if at all. And in addition to that, I did not like the fact that these two bishops were just raking over here and really had some pressure on these pawns. And my rook was kind of frozen for the moment, sort of. So anyway, I could have played Queen E4 here, which would have been a great move. Well, not a great move, a fine move. But anyway, I chose to move E4. Honestly, it's not the greatest move, and I know it. But however, I know that I'm still playing another human being. So, and I got some activity that's going to come along with this move as well. So, I'm like, well, why not? So he takes back, bishop takes, and now here again I could have went Queen A4 again. But being that the end game aficionado that I am, I go Queen takes Queen, Rook takes Rook. Now Rook E1, threatening the bishop. Obviously, he goes back to Bishop D5, which really to me was the wrong move. He should have wanted to preserve that bishop as long as possible, and I think he should have, instead of doing that, he should have went to this square here, so he could have had this move here available here to preserve the two bishops. Because I think because his position was because even though it was open, his bishops were in better position, man. I think that it was just not a good idea. I wouldn't have traded just yet. But anyway, when he goes Bishop D5, it gives me a chance to trade off the bishop because I go knight G5. He kind of has to take it. I mean, if he goes to, say, Bishop C4, I'm just going to go Bishop F1. So, going back to the position, he takes Bishop G2, King takes, Rook to knight 5. I saw this move. This was all, I was going to sacrifice a pawn back for activity. So, and again, I know it's not probably the greatest position for me, but at the same time, it's still, you have to play this position to win. So, I go 94, protecting the pawn. Only way to, for him, he has to do something else. I'm going to bring the bishop out to E3. He goes pawn F5. I might kick my knight back to G5. Rook takes pawn, 96. Now rook E5. If I take his rook now, it would be a little bit, I think, a little bit worse for me. So, and I was, again, playing for activity. So I go bishop F4. So when he takes my rook, he take his rook. My rook is on a stands a whole lot better, and you know, I got an option to take his bishop at this point, and if he, for example, takes my pawn on B2, I just go bishop rook B1. So he goes bishop A6, intending G5, obviously. So I go H4 to stop that. King, I kind of underestimate king to G7. It kind of froze my pieces a little bit, but not really, because either I had to move the knight, and I didn't really want to move it because the knight was holding D8, which was very important at this point. And my rook was kind of frozen, but I found some way to kind of maneuver it a little bit, and let me show you how I did that. So I go bishop B2. This was more or less a waiting move to see what would happen. That's because, again, if he, for example, I don't know, let's just say if he do, say, A6 or something, I mean, I could always have the opportunity to knight takes bishop and then go bishop C3 with check, you know, just to get that tempo. I'm still down in pawns, so let's not forget that. But however, the idea that I had here was I was going to try to somehow liquidate on the queen side and just play 4 versus 3 on the king side. So he goes bishop. I didn't think he was going to do this, but he goes bishop takes B2. Because, again, reason why I didn't think he was going to do it, because now when I go bishop A6, I have a square in there for knight maneuvering, which helps me, I think, a lot. When, again, it doesn't right change the position probably numerically for me if he was, you know, analyzing sort of engine or anything, but definitely if I can move my knight to a better posted square and free my rook up a little bit and kind of get some maneuvering around his king, you know, it can only be somewhat helpful to me. So he goes bishop F6. I go bishop G5. And the thing is here is that that bishop is dangerous that he has, because, again, you got to realize it's covering A1. And if he some kind of way manages to get a pass pawn on the A file, that'd be pretty hard to deal with. So I go here. Obviously, if he trades, I just take back with the knight with check. So he doesn't trade. So he goes knight to B4, threatening my pawn, which I'm not too concerned about that, because, again, that's not really, I'm not going to let that happen. So I go bishop takes, king takes. Now knight E2. With the idea that if he, for example, say, tries to take this pawn here and hope that I go for a rook take, his knight, and then he take my knight with his king, obviously that would be totally fantastic for him. But however, that's not what my plan was. If he did that, I would have came back to here, threatening rook here, and then rook here, and then rook here. So anyway, when I go rook to C2, he goes rook to C8, threatening to trade rooks. And if I trade rooks, I'm definitely probably much, much, much worse here. Because first of all, you know, my knight, his knight is a little bit better than mine. He can create a pass pawn, and you know, it just definitely would be a loss ending if I trade rooks for sure. I would almost bet money it would be. So I go knight here, obviously with a threat of the same threat of rook here, rook here, rook here. So I'm threatening all of this. So obviously he's not going to let that happen. So he goes e5. I go knight, rook. I mean a rook to b2. Now he goes bishop c4. This was kind of baffling because I thought that he would have went b6 for some reason or another. Because again, I have a maiden threat on f7 when I go to b7. So that's actually what happened. So I go a3, knight b3. What tempo he's threatening my rook here. Threatening mate. He goes e4. I take e7. However, in this position, it's best to go rook a7. I mean, a rook f7 check first, then take a7, which the order doesn't matter, but you still can do it on this turn. And in fact, after I take rook a7, I still, even after he goes rook c2, I still have the opportunity to go rook to f7 check first. This is where I make the mistake at, the game losing mistake. I go knight h3, which, I mean, you know, I didn't really see the innocuous penalty that it had to offer because I thought that I was going to get my rook behind this passed pawn is what I thought. That's why I should have went rook to f7 first with check. So let's just go back and take a look. All right, if I go here, take, you know, something like this. And then, in fact, I don't even have to move it. I can just go king to g1. And this is totally fine. Because now if you go, for example, rook takes, I'm just going to go here, obviously with a threat. And then he may move his, you know, move that here, for example. And yeah, I mean, it's just fine. It's just okay. It's just still in the realm of drawing here. Still, I need accurate play. But going back to knight h3, I pretty much was a game losing move because of e3. I mean, he's threatening all kind of nasty things here. And even at this point, I still had some fight left. I mean, it wasn't really, he still had to play, I mean, he didn't have to play too accurate to win, but definitely I played on for a few more moves. So I go knight f4. He takes, and I kind of saw a ghost here because when I go, he goes e2 and I go rook e6. For some reason, I thought that I was going to be able to check his king on e5, which I was just again, we played this game. This game had lasted for like 4 hours, and it was the first game of the day, which was at 10 a.m. I think. So this was what I missed. I calculated all the way to this point, but I thought I had a check on e5, and I didn't, because again, there's really no way to really get out of this, because if I go here, for example, he just backs up, and obviously I can't get, you know, behind the pawn here. And if I go check here, he just does that, for example, and threatening to queen. So, but going back to, again, this position here, again, when you find yourself in a situation like this, the idea is that, you know, you want to make sure you got your pieces free to move. Here, my own pawn, which is this pawn here, is restricting me from getting here. So that's why Rook F7 check first was much more important here. Or even if I go back, even I could have taken here and then taken the pawn. It would have been, it still would have been within the realm of drawing. I still needed to play very accurately, but it still could have happened. But anyway, I just wanted to show you all that game. It's a very long game for me, but even though I lost the game, I'm still quite proud of how I played the game, the ideas that I came up with, how I played the opening, and how I just achieved my goal of getting through the opening and making it to an end game with an opponent that was rated about 300 points higher than me. So anyway, I hope you guys enjoy this video, and if you have any games that of your own you would like me to feature or analyze for you, I'd be more than happy to do that for you. But anyway, take care until next time. You all have a good one.